Yo, baby, get up and listen to what's ticking. On the 14th of July, the boys are just kicking to smash and clash and crash it up for you. It's the Great American Bash on pay-per-view. We're up, Nikita Koloff will be taking on Sting. They're gonna bust a move all over the ring. Now the Nature Boy, you know his name is Ric Flair, is gonna walk that aisle, so you better beware. No, but homie, be careful, cause you're wrestling legs. He's a power slamming legacy with muscle to play. As if that ain't enough, we got a rage in the cage. Paulie, Staunton, Missy, there's a war to be waged. So homie, listen up, I wouldn't tell you no lie, cause the Great American Bash is on the 14th of July.
The Great American Bash is this Sunday, and fans, we have a very, very exclusive announcement from Mr. Jim Herd, Executive Vice President of World Championship Wrestling. Not only concerning the world title and it being vacant, but concerning the two men who will go up in the main event this Sunday at the Great American Bash. Let's hear right now these comments from Mr. Jim Herd.
Hello, wrestling fans. Jim Herd, Executive Vice President of World Championship Wrestling, with a very important statement for you fans. World Championship Wrestling is saddened to report that after extensive negotiations with Nature Boy Ric Flair, stretching over the course of nearly 1 year, the parties have been unable to arrive at a mutually satisfactory contractual relationship. As a result, the WCW board has decided that the best course of action for WCW and its fans is to declare the World Championship title vacant and to determine a new champion at the Great American Bash this Sunday in Baltimore. Lex Luger, the #1 contender and current United States champion, will remain on the title card at the Bash. His opponent, as determined by the WCW board, is one you've been waiting for and asking for a long time. It's Barry Windham versus Lex Luger at the Great American Bash in Baltimore. On a personal note, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my best wishes to Ric Flair and wish him the best in the future. He is a great champion.
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis.
What?
This sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Folks, welcome everybody to another episode of the Squared Circle Time Machine here on the It Was a Thing on TV Podbean feed. Greg here with Dane, and Dane, we have a special guest with us. But before we introduce our special guest, I want to mention that we have just gotten through a big weekend in professional wrestling. We had All In, we had WWE Evolution, we had NXT Great American Bash, and we had Saturday night's main event.
All within a span of 48 hours and just a lot of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Some good, some bad, some phenomenal.
Oh, I forgot about ROH Super Court of Honor, too.
ROH is still a thing?
Yeah, apparently.
What, like the 12 basement dwellers that subscribe to it on YouTube are keeping it afloat somehow?
Or Tony's dad's just, giving him all that monopoly money to keep funding it. But, okay, let's talk about All In for a little bit. I actually, because I couldn't watch it live, I ordered it on Amazon Prime. So I actually got a $10 credit with my order. So I have a $10 video credit because I ordered it on Prime Video. And also I had $8 of Amazon credit I hadn't used up. So I only paid like $41 for the show. So
that's $60 for 9 hours of wrestling to watch. And how can someone sit for remember when we were internet fans were complaining about WrestleMania being like 8-9 hours, and then meanwhile Triple H was in NXT putting on shorter PLEs there for with only 4 to 5 matches, and that was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, but Dade, let's just get this out of our way. Our long national nightmare is over. Jon Moxley is no longer the AEW champion.
Thank God. And thank God Tony Storm somehow won despite the booking pointing the other way, that Monet was going to win.
I get the feeling, though, she's eventually going to get the world title from Tony at some point.
Yeah, but how? And because now you have, speaking of ROH, you have the forever champion now, Athena. I guess she won the women's casino gauntlet, so she gets a guaranteed title shot down the road. And Michael Jaheim Friedman is now the men's gauntlet winner. He's got himself a title shot down the road.
You know, Dane, I was really hoping for a Long Island sweep with Statlander winning the women's gauntlet. Oh, what can you do? Well, I'll settle for MJF winning it, but I will say this. I think I said this to you, Dane. I was watching the opening match of the show, and they did the injury angle with the Death Riders with Samoa Joe, and they're wheeling him off, and Excalibur has a solemn voice. And then he has to do a DraftKings promo with this solemn voice. And I was like expecting the NFL on Fox injury music to play while he's doing the fucking DraftKings promo. And then it cuts to a promo with Kevin Hart for DraftKings with no sound. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think we also had a special appearance of Final Boss Dwayne's tequila advertising in between a photo of one of the banners for advertising the match for Page and Moxley there. So Final Boss again trying to screw around with AEW. So
hey, hello, GM of the Texas Rangers. How about I advertise my tequila and you can have my picture in between Moxley and Page?
That way people will think I'm going to show up here. Maybe you'll get a few thousand more people here.
Oh, by the way, Dustin did win the TNT title. I'm very happy that happened because I was very happy for Dustin.
Yes.
And Adam Cole also, before the match, gave us the 2025 version of I Lost My Smile.
Oh, he has not had a good run there at all. He's been, if it was injury prone and injury after injury, it seems that maybe one of those self-fulfilling prophecies that Vince was right that he should have been a manager.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I had to also mention, Seth, he's out like for a long while now.
Oh, okay. Have they upped? Because I know last night during the post show for Evolution, Triple H was saying that it was inconclusive, and then he was going to Birmingham today for assessment and stuff. So that's got to probably screw a lot of things up right now with him, between him having it seemed like 6 simultaneous feuds at once and being Mr. Money in the Bank. So what happens to that now? Does succession onto like Braun Breaker or something, or?
Yeah, I wonder, does Braun now have possession of the briefcase, or do they just wait till he gets back? Did you imagine, though, a cash-in attempt after a cash-in, if they wait a year? Because I don't think they've said how long you're actually supposed to wait for the briefcase. I think it's assumed it's a year, but it's never implied when it ends.
I think it's assumed it's at least, I think they said within a calendar year. I think they said it's supposed to cash it in.
But I don't think it includes injury time, though. Maybe they're going to use the Tony Khan injury time excuse.
So then we'll have an interim Money in the Bank champ, Mr. Money in the Bank, while Seth is recovering, and then we'll have the ultimate Money in the Bank unification match.
Oh, yes. We could have the 2 briefcases on a ladder, and then whoever wins will be the undisputed Money in the Bank champion.
And somehow they'll both be of equal value and can be cashed in at different times.
Yes. Okay, now let's get into Evolution, because Io and Rhea, match of the weekend.
Match, yes. Again, and I'm just going to stand again by saying that Io is the best wrestler in the world right now, both male and female.
If Io is not the PWI Women's Wrestler of the Year for 2025. I'm going to go to Kappa Publishing. I'm going to say, what is wrong with you?
A nice callback to her match against Penta and Lucha Underground with diving off off from the crowd, and I hope we get another Io Rhea match down the road, and maybe doesn't necessarily need the title on their line, but would be nice. But as much as I hated the fact of that happening, but I've got to give props to Naomi, because since she turned heel there and since she's gone with this unhinged character, she has been putting in a lot of good mic and character work, and I think I'm even going to have to go back and watch her run in Impact / TNA and see how she was as champion there, because this could be an interesting, mixes things up a little bit now. And we got Stephanie Vaquer winning the Battle Royal and getting herself a title shot at the Paris PLE.
I got to say, that was the best ending of the match, where she had a Legend and Devil's Kiss on the apron.
Yep.
And I was doing the Booker. Turn that too.
Yeah. I hope Triple H was kind of vague about doing it annually, but I wouldn't mind seeing Evolution maybe every second year, but because here we go. It seemed like not a lot of thought was put into it. It was all kind of rushed, and maybe no one was giving a crap about it, and all of a sudden it comes up, it looks like a half a decent crowd. The crowd is hot all the way through. The only kind of match that kind of dragged a little bit, I thought, was the NXT match, but hopefully we'll see what happens now with Blake Monroe being heel, and then hopefully, I'm guessing, because now apparently JC Jane will now be facing Masha Slamovich at TNA Slammiversary this weekend.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, well, that should be interesting to see where that goes. The crowd was hot all the way through. The matches were a lot better than expected of some of them. And yeah, like I said, if Io Rhea isn't getting big recognition for both match of the year and even feud of the year, that I'm going to be shaking my head at internet wrestling geeks.
Oh, yeah. So let's get into it now. We had a great week of current wrestling, but now we got to talk about really, really bad wrestling. And we are going to talk about one of the worst pay-per-views of all time, and that is WCW Great American Bash 1991. So for this episode, I wanted to get the perspective of somebody who was actually there in the arena. And from our fan base that it was a thing on TV, I went with this guy because I knew for sure he was at the arena that night. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, HypSports legend, Rick in Baltimore. Rick, how are you doing tonight?
Evening, gentlemen. Doing well, and happy to be on the show, and happy to add my insight to an event that happened, as we're recording this, 34 years ago to the day.
Oh, my God. Where has the time gone, Rick?
I have no idea. Trust me.
So, Rick, what were your memories going into this pay-per-view, and what were your expectations when you arrived at the Baltimore Arena that night?
Well, I had been a wrestling fan for a while. At the time, I had just turned 15, and not too much before the show. And I got a ticket to the show for my birthday from my parents. I had been watching wrestling like that for a while. Both, and living in Baltimore, we both got WWF and WCW/NWA, both on TV, but also shows locally, because at the time, WWF, when they were still expanding, we were like the most southern part they were at one point. And then for NWA, WCW, it was one of the more northern towns. The Bash had been to the arena the last 3 years prior to this, 88, 89, and 90. So I had been to the one in 1990, and I got to go to the one in 1991. And the main event was supposed to be Flair versus Luger in a cage for the title, which, if you know your history, 3 years prior, Lex Luger had Flair in the torture rack. He's finally going to win the title from Ric Flair. And Flair holds onto the title because Luger had a cut above his head, and the State Athletic Commission deemed that the match had to be stopped due to excessive blood loss. So this was a chance for Luger to right the wrong that happened to him in the location it happened 3 years later.
And then on July 1st, because Ric Flair had a contract dispute with Pizza Man Jim Herd, I think they had to strip the belt from him. I think Flair said that Doug Dillinger actually had to come to his house to try to get the belt back from him. But I think Flair had a deposit on the belt or something, that meaning that he could keep it.
I didn't know at the time because I was just a 15-year-old kid. I knew them at the ins and outs of the business. But yeah, apparently Flair had to put a deposit on the belt. Jim Herd wouldn't give him the deposit, so Flair said, "Okay, I'm taking the belt with me."
So Dane, what do you have to think about this?
Well, see, because I never was watching WCW at the time, and all I remember, meanwhile, on because we got WWF more so up here in Canada, where I was. So the only way you would get NWA, WCW was if you lived in a city and had cable, where you would get TBS. But since I was out in the boonies and on the peasant division, we got WWF wrestling. So while this is happening, one weekend I'm watching Maple Leaf Wrestling with Vince Roddy and Macho Man on commentary. Then we go to the update with Mean Gene, and all of a sudden here's a promo with Bobby Heenan, this big gold belt, and he's talking how the man who holds this belt, comparing him to Hulk Hogan, is like comparing ice cream to horse manure. I'm like, what's going on here? There's another wrestling organization? The guy who holds this belt's coming to the WWF to face Hogan? My 11-year-old mind was blown at that time.
Yeah, I will say this, as somebody who was 7 years old at the time, I vaguely kind of knew of WCW, but I didn't know who Ric Flair was. So when he arrived in the WWF, I had no clue who he was. I was like, who is this guy I think he is, claiming to be the real world's champion? And I don't think it was until that performance at the Rumble in Albany in 92 that we've really got a sense of how great this guy was to the average WWF fan.
Well, again, since I was in an area where we got both WWF and WCW shows on a regular basis, I was really well aware of who Ric Flair was. My Saturdays were basically WWF, WCW, WWF for 4 hours straight. So I had the best of both worlds in that regard. So well aware of who Ric Flair was and everything. And at the time the show happened, of course, no idea what's going on. I'm a 15-year-old kid. I don't know what's going on with the ins and outs of everything there. But if you want me fast forwarding a little bit, the night of the show, I go to the show and there's a guy outside handing out this newsletter. And I wish to this day I would have kept it. It was, again, 30-some years ago. I lost the paper, but it was a dirt sheet. And it may have been Meltzer's. I don't remember. But he's hanging out a dirt sheet, and it's a huge headline that Flair quits WCW. And I'm reading this going, I don't understand. The guy says, yeah, Ric Flair's not here now. Ric Flair's not there anymore. He quit. And that was my first idea into the whole dirt sheet. I knew wrestling was scripted by this point. I knew it was quote unquote fake. I knew it was scripted, but I had no ideas of the ins and outs of how the wrestling business worked. This whole newsletter was about Ric Flair, and exactly like you had said, Greg, it was like he quit and took the belt with him, and they tried to get the belt back, and Flair wanted the money back for the belt, and he never got the money belt back, so he was going to the WWF with the belt.
Yeah. So WCW is screwed. They got no belt, and they got this big match that they were advertising with Flair and Luger. So I believe maybe the weekend before, they announced that it was going to be a cage match between the top two contenders, and the belt was declared vacant. and it was going to be Lex Luger and Barry Windham for the vacant title.
And I don't remember how they explained it. I think they just said that Ric Flair, and again, I went to the show and I didn't realize that Flair wasn't going to be there. I must have missed the show or missed the announcement, because the idea was like the top two contenders in the WCW top 10 were Lex Luger and Barry Windham, which of course had a lot of impact on the rest of the shows on the card, because everyone remembers this for the main event. I will argue and say that this is the worst wrestling pay-per-view ever made. Worse than WrestleMania 9. Worse than, what was it, WrestleMania, I think 11 was the one. Yeah, WrestleMania 11. This may be the worst pay-per-view I can remember.
That's not Heroes of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, nothing. Heroes of Wrestling doesn't count. I don't count Heroes of Wrestling because that was a money grab one-off. In an established federation, a major federation, this, to me, is the worst pay-per-view I can think of.
Well, it was definitely a real head-scratcher, but we've watched WrestleMania 9 here on the podcast, and looking back, it wasn't as horrible as we thought. I think if they didn't have that silly Roman Coliseum theme, and then again, knowing how things went behind the scenes with the title changing and stuff like that, I think that's what made it more worse. I would almost say this is up there with the worst ones, like definitely up there with like King of the Ring 95 and NWO Sold Out 97, I think.
King of the Ring 95, which also is in Baltimore, may I add.
No, 94 was in Baltimore. 95
94 was, you're right.
95 was in Philadelphia, because during that.
That's right.
94 release, we had wasn't a bad one, because we had Owen Hart winning, and we also had Art Donovan asking, how much does this guy weigh? This guy's dressed as a businessman. Is he one of the wrestlers?
Art Donovan was beloved here. He was a beloved figure in Baltimore, and I don't understand why they put him on. And we're getting sidetracked, but I don't know why they put him on commentary for that show. That's all I'll say.
Maybe somebody in the office was a big fan of his appearance on Letterman. I don't know. So let's finally get into this pay-per-view, shall we? Now, I should note, I'm on the Wrestling Observer page. I'm looking at the newsletter for this show, and I'm looking at the reviews, and it says right here, and you're looking at the screen share, the thumbs up out of 241 votes. None. Nobody thought this was a good show. Thumbs down 239, and in the middle, 2. I'd like to meet the 2 people in the world who watched this pay-per-view live and said, it's all right.
Maybe they because the only thing I found of value was Sting and Koloff there in the chain match, despite the goofy finish, or maybe they just really loved the little people that came up with El Gigante.
There was one match that wasn't that if there's any match in the show that I would say was halfway decent, it would have been the Richard Morton against Robert Gibson. That was decent because the two of them had worked together for so long. They knew how each other would work in a ring. So that one wasn't half bad. The first tag match, the Capture the Flag Scaffold match, was abysmal. And
okay. Yeah, I'll get to that. But
yeah.
But first, I want to get to the opening, and I want to point out that there was a dark match, Rick, on this show.
Yes, there
and
was.
It was Junkyard Dog against Black Bart. And Dave says the crowd didn't even watch this match and instead just watched the pregame show that aired on the big screens in the building. And Dave gave this a dud. Typical of Dave.
I have no recollection of this match occurring. It happened. I may have been, and by the way, the Baltimore Arena did not have a large jumbotron, so you're watching something on a relatively small pixelated screen in 1991. There really wasn't much to watch there, but I think they had like a large screen projector in the back on the stage area. I don't remember this match happening, And yeah, the crowd was, I've jokingly said that on a quiet night in Baltimore, you can still hear the echoes of "We Want Flair."
So now let's get into the opening of this show. So we have like a camera guy. We have like a POV shot of a guy trying to go into the arena. He's getting like tickets and such for the show. And he's walking in and he's about to enter the arena. It kind of reminds me of how, and Rick, you probably would know this, how back in the day, CBS would kind of have like this kind of similar perspective for sporting events where you'd have like Brett Musburger saying, "You are looking live at a sold out crowd." That's what kind of reminded me of.
I will say this, that the arena would sell out for these shows. Baltimore was hot for wrestling back then. That's why WCW kept coming back for shows with the Great American Bash. The Crockett Cup was held here once. It always had decent crowds. But yeah, I remember that the shots of the people walking into the arena and such to kind of give the whole vibe of how big of a show it was.
Okay, so we're into the show. Our commentators tonight are JR and Tony. And so let's get into our opening match, our epic opening match. It is Bobby Eaton and PN News against Stunning Steve Austin and the computerized man of the 1990s, Terrence Taylor, in a capture the flag scaffold match.
And the reason it went to capture the flag were the wrestlers did not want to come off the scaffold, which I don't blame them because of what happened to Jim Cornette a few years earlier with his knees. Plus, could you imagine PN News coming off the scaffold?
If PN News came through, fell down I think you would have had probably a giant sinkhole then in the middle of the Baltimore Arena then.
Oh, that would have, the idea of PN News coming off the scaffold amuses me.
Oh, if only. But the best part is for this match, hold on a second. Let me just read the review here because I'm going to read Dave's review of this match here. Unannounced in pre-match hype, they had changed the scaffold match rules to allow winning by knocking the foe off the scaffold or by capturing the opponent's flag. That was on the side of the scaffold. Next thing you know, they'll change the rules of an I Quit match to be the loser has to say I quit on the mic, or by finding him when they play hide and go seek during the match, or having a stretcher match and either by a guy going out on a stretcher or by whomever kicks the can. Hey, that would have been a great idea for Sid versus El Gigante at Super Brawl. He said, this was one of the worst matches in the history of pay-per-view, and the only highlight of the match was Austin and Lady Blossom walking to the ring with a decked-out Taylor.
It was, I felt, looking back on it, I feel for Bobby Eaton, Bobby Eaton was a fantastic wrestler. He could make the best of any bad situation given to him. He and Steve Austin were not saving this. There was no saving this. Scaffold matches are bad to begin with. But then you put in the idea that capture the flag, and it just goes out the window.
Yeah, because you have like four people walking softly along the on the scaffold trying to capture each other's flags. But then I think that was like kind of like you had to capture the flag and you had to scurry back then to your side to actually win the match. And then, or if someone took the 20-foot plunge, then that they lose as well too. So, and like I said, out of the four people there, none of them are taking any kind of crazy ass bumps like that.
I mean, Bobby Eaton had been in these matches before with the Midnight Express, so he at least knew what to expect. I remember the match; it was just a matter of them. They were doing more to stay on the scaffold than anything else. Yeah,
it's just kind of like nervous, like someone nervously climbing up a ladder and just doing their best to steady themselves, fearing that they're going to fall off a ladder. That's how it came off to me. And God, was the crowd ever dead for that, I thought.
Oh, Scott notes that the crowd was dead for the end of this match.
Even the match itself kind of seemed out of nowhere because, Bobby Eaton gets the flag and then also he runs, but then all of a sudden Lady Blossom passes up some like an aerosol can to Austin and he like sprays Bobby Eaton and PNUs in the eyes with that, with the thing, and then somehow the match is over.
It was like from the jump, even the whole idea of Flair not being there really set the crowd, in a bad mood. And the match quality didn't add to it. And it was a very, and you guys have watched the show, you can hear the crowd. It was a very hostile and yet indifferent crowd, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. When we get to the Oz-Ron Simmons match, I got some things to talk about the crowd there.
All right, so let's get into star ratings. Dave gave this -3.5 stars, while Scott gave this -4 stars. And I got to agree with Scott. This was a -4-star match.
Almost as bad or worse than Jenna Maraska and
Sharmell at TNA.
yeah, Sharmell at TNA. Yep.
It might have been the worst match I've ever seen live. I went to a good number of shows. It may have been the worst match I've ever seen live. It just was. It was boring, and that's what it was. It was a boring match that just. It felt like it went on forever, and it was. I think the shortest match, or not the shortest match, one of the shortest matches of the night.
If they wanted to do a capture the flag gimmick, why not just do a capture the flag pole match and put these guys just in a regular tag match without this stupid scaffold? Because I think that scaffold really, like, I've never been a fan of scaffold matches as a gimmick, so this is the match that proves that I'm right in hating that as a gimmick match.
So let's go into our next segment. But before we go into an interview, as we are having to stall for time as the scaffold is being disassembled, we cut to JR and Tony, and that's one hell of a bleach blonde dye job on Tony's hair right here.
Tony's rocking the same kind of hairstyle I actually had at that time. The long rooster hair.
He's got a good mullet. Can't knock him for that.
Yeah.
So now we cut into an interview segment with Arn Anderson and Paulie Dangerously, with somebody debuting in WCW on this night, and that would be Easy baby, Eric Bischoff. Now, Rick, did you know of Eric Bischoff from AWA before this show?
It is funny you mentioned that. I had gotten a videotape like a year or so prior that I found at a local video store. It was Hulk Hogan's AWA highlight, and it was posted by none other than Eric Bischoff. So I knew who he was because I was like, I went, wait a minute, that's the guy from the AWA tape I had. That's the only thing I knew about him. But I had this tape of Hulk Hogan's AWA highlights posted by Eric Bischoff that I think came out like a year before he went to WCW. And
if I remember correctly, I think before Eric went to WCW, he did an audition with WWF. And I think they highlighted this on his Confidential piece in 2002 about how they had this segment where Vince wanted him to sell this broom, pal. Try to sell this broom.
Sell this broom, damn it.
And Eric was like stumbling and bumbling. It's easy to see why Vince didn't hire him. But, I mean, Eric toils around for like a year and a half here, and then he gets the job as the executive as Watts gets fired, and he takes over from there, and we all know the rest. Okay, so there's going to be a tag match between Paulie and Arn against Rick Steiner and Missy. But correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but isn't there like some shenanigans as to why this match can't happen? Because I think, wasn't this originally advertised as a singles match?
Originally, it was going to be the Steiner brothers and Missy versus Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, and Paulie. But with the Flair situation, they had to call an audible, so Windham got pulled out of this match to wrestle Luger, so that was going to be the Steiners versus them. But Scott Steiner had tore his bicep, So then it was a handicap match of, well, not Rick and Missy versus Arn and Paul. However, Maryland's Athletic Commission did not allow for intergender matches. So they had to get Missy out of the match.
And we'll see how they do that later. That was kind of an unexpected thing for me. Like all of a sudden, they're calling it here like even an intergender match. Are they implying that either Arn or Paulie are identifying as female then?
I think they're basically saying because Missy Hyatt's involved, therefore it's an intergender match because there's a woman who's wrestling against men.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be that weird to be progressive in 1991, Dane. Especially for a Southern company like WCW.
Yeah. Then I'm surprised that Rick Steiner's even involved in that match if one of them were identifying as female.
Oh, God, I just remembered. Oh no. Well, I'll just say his son's a great wrestler. So,
yeah.
Now let's get into our next match. The Z-Man, Tom Zink, against some guy named the Diamond Stud. I don't know whatever happened to this guy, but he's with Diamond Dallas Page. I'm kidding, of course. We all know it's Scott Hall.
I'm glad that whoever made Scott Hall's tights at least had enough room to write Stud on there, because if it was Stu on there, I don't think Diamond Stu would have been as good as a draw as the Diamond Stud.
I think because it's 1991. If this was like 5 years later, it'd be like, Disco Stu and everything. It'd be like perfect.
I was going to say, I think this Diamond Stud guy ended up going to Miami.
Now, I do love the fact that DDP, because this is the Great American Bash, is wearing an American flag. Well, I don't know. Is it a jacket he's wearing here?
The jacket / shirt combo. It's almost kind of like the same thing it almost kind of reminded me of the thing Macho Man wore at for the Yokozuna Body Slam Challenge on the USS Intrepid.
Now, Rick, what did you think of the Diamond Stud, Scott Hall, this time?
I mean, generic big guy, really. Generic big guy, typical big, tough guy, I will admit, even back then, I thought DDP was kind of interesting as a hype man. I kind of liked, he was the hype man for Diamond Stud. I kind of dug him. I mean, I was still cheering the faces and booing the heels, but DDP, I kind of dug it. I kind of dug, how he was a hype man for him. The Diamond Stud was like, generic big guy, looks halfway decent, but just kind of there.
Yeah. And I think, like, when I started watching WCW TV regularly in 94 and I saw DDP, there was something about him. He was like a compelling character to watch because he had like Kimberly and he had like this Ed. He had like a charisma to him.
Well, yeah, because there too, like in 97 when I started watching WCW on the reg, because I was getting it more often. I like DDP. Like, he seemed to be one of the few WCW originals that I actually gravitated that I was not aware of and gravitated to, because he was kind of like a working, kind of came out as like kind of like almost like a working class hero type character. Like, he came out through the crowd. He just appeared like just in his jeans and boots and stuff. He had this pretty hot girl with him, Kimberly, and he had a pretty damn over finisher with the diamond cutter. So,
but it's still 1991, and he's just a manager at this time. But I love the fact that they get some random lady here to tear off the Diamond Stud's pants.
Yeah.
And you see like his glorious blue and yellow trunks right here with a blue diamond and in the area, the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of the way they were doing this up with Hall. It was kind of like a Rick Rude ripoff.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Team Boo ravishing Rick Rude, which is funny because they get Rick Rude later in the year. So now we get the Z-Man coming out, and he's got a bunch of ladies with him.
So is the Z-Man also like a pimp or something? Because why did all these ladies come out with him?
Because he's the Z-Man, Dean.
Or Z-Man if you're here in Canada.
ZZ, whatever. Okay, so let me get into the Dave review of this match. Opened hot with Zenk diving over the top rope into the ring onto Stud. Dallas Page minus his DDD Diamond Dolls pulled down the top rope and Zenk took a bump over. As Zenk went after Page, Stud attacked him from behind and Zenk took a great bump over the guardrail. The action moved pretty well, but neither guy sold the other's punches well. Zenk had Stud pinned after a dropkick off the top rope when Page slapped Zenk. Zenk went after Page, Stud kneed him from behind, and hit a back suplex for the win. Star in 3/4. And let me see, Scott gave this a half a star.
I would have preferred this to have been the opener, actually, if at least they had something going. It actually had some in-ring action going on with it. And surprisingly, we had the big muscle guy, Scott Hall, winning with a wrestling move of a belly-to-back suplex.
And the match was, I agree with Dane. This would have been a nice opener. The crowd got into this a little more. Zank was always a good worker. I always thought Zank could at least do a good match and look good while wrestling. A couple little high spots to get the crowd going. It definitely took the taste out of that first match out of everyone's mouth. This was a 5-star classic compared to the drag that was a scaffold match.
Oh, it was indeed. So now let's get into our next match, which is Ron Simmons against Oz. Now, guys, I'm going to play for you the epic opening for Oz. So
I'm glad. I think I only seen once the whole Oz opening.
Oh, God, Dane, you're going to be in for a treat here. So let's mute while we enjoy this.
Introducing first, ladies and gentlemen, he stands 7 feet. He weighs 325 pounds. And he will be accompanied with the Great Wizard. Ladies and gentlemen, soon to be appearing is Oz.
So, the first thing I got to say is, did you hear the crowd?
Yeah, it's like they were like, what?
And I asked, did you hear the crowd? Because the crowd was dead. They had no idea what the heck to think about this. It was odd to begin with. And second of all, you guys probably know this. Do you know who Merlin the Wizard was?
Oh, it was Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan in a mask.
Sullivan in a mask. And I had no idea until later on it was him. But the crowd for that, there wasn't booing, there wasn't cheering. It was, and I remember looking at it just going, what the heck is this?
It's just silent indifference, what I would call it. Like,
again, I had watched both WCW and WWF, and WCW, to me and my friend, was the more quote-unquote real wrestling, if that makes any sense. And WCW was the faker wrestling. This felt like WWF, quote, fake wrestling. Because it was cartoonish. I would expect Oz to be wrestling Hulk Hogan.
This was something Jim Herd probably thought up. And I think there's the famous story that Kevin Nash tells when Dusty pitches him the Oz gimmick. And he says, baby, you're going to be Oz. And Kevin's like, no, Dusty. Oz is a place. It's not a person. But baby, you Oz.
Well, my understanding is that also because Turner owned the rights to the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Kind of a way they got to use those rights.
Yeah, because I think the actual first appearance with Oz, you had actors as Dorothy and the Tin Man and Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion as well too, which sadly this entrance lacked them. And I think even for some reason too that the Great Wizard had a little capuchin monkey with him for some reason.
And the worst part is you don't hear Sullivan as the Wizard saying, "Welcome to Oz! Welcome to
Welcome to
Oz!"
Oz! Welcome to Oz!
Then we get Ron Simmons come in. Now, Rick, what were your opinions about Ron Simmons? Because he was just coming off his run in Doom with Butch Reed, and now he's a babyface single star now. So what was the feeling about Ron Simmons around this time?
Ron Simmons was pretty popular with Baltimore, especially with the African American community, because he was one of the few African American stars in wrestling. Always liked him. I always thought, even in Doom, he was, just a badass in the ring. He made it look real. He made it look like what he did hurt. So I always liked him. On a side note, I also was in the arena for the Vader versus Simmons match where Simmons won the world title, which I will say is the absolute loudest crowd reaction I've ever heard at any live event I've been to. The audio on that clip, if you've seen it, does not do that crowd pop justice. That place went insane when Simmons won the title.
Oh, I've seen the match. I love when Simmons does the power slam. You see that one fan, this one kid who's running up to the guardrail, and then when the 1, 2, 3 happens, he just jumps up and down like all in celebration. That is an amazing moment.
I remember reading that match. There were people around me sobbing in tears when he won. It was incredible. And as a matter of fact, my best friend now, I did not know, was also at that show in a different part of the arena. But going back to this match, Simmons, like I said, he made it look real. He looked like he would do damage. It was a power guy. He always looked good. I always thought Simmons was a good guy to watch in the ring.
And one underrated fact of this match is we all know Ron Simmons was a big football star at Florida State, and Kevin Nash played college basketball at Tennessee. So this is Florida State against Tennessee here. So this is like a match that like Jim Ross would go nuts for.
Yeah, he was going nuts as rattling off all of Ron's football credentials.
He'd always love to bring up Jim on commentary that Ron was, I believe, finished in like the top 10 in the Heisman voting one year. And he's like, that's very rare for like a defensive player to even be considered in the Heisman voting, because there's only been like 2 defensive players that have ever won the Heisman. I mean, technically we had Travis Hunter last year, even though he plays both offense and defense, but also Charles Woodson in, I think, 97, the year he beat Peyton Manning for the Heisman. Those have been the only 2 players that have played defense that have won the Heisman.
Yeah, he finished 9th, if I remember correctly, for the Heisman the year he's in there. And was a legit, Florida State retired his number. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He was just a legit great college athlete.
Okay, so let me go and change, and I'll go with Scott's review for this match. So here we go.
Oh, yeah. I think I remembered what it pretty much boils down to, and that's how the match ended.
Oh, fuck, it's Kevin Nash. That's how the review starts, people. Oz has Kane's Pyro to bring him out. This is just after Simmons' singles push started. He gets one of the few actual pops of the night. Crowd doesn't bother popping for anything in this match. However, and with good reason, the match is a big, steaming bowl of fresh suck with lightly seasoned suck sauce and a side of suck salad. Lumber, kick, punch, yawn. Simmons manages to get a reaction by clotheslining Big Sexy, the Giant Killer, out of the ring. Simmons with 3 shoulder blocks for the pin. Dud. And let me see what Dave gave. Dave gave this a dud.
Yes, because it was God. Like, even with now that at this point the crowd was quiet enough, you can actually hear enough of people starting a small, rather vocal, boring chant halfway through the match.
Yeah, the crowd was getting a little restless on this one. Scott, like I said, Ron Simmons got a decent pop. Again, people like Ron Simmons. But the match itself was just dry.
Of course, going with what the F going on with the Oz entrance and stuff, that probably didn't help either.
No, that did not help one bit.
Now we go into Tony talking about the WCW top 10. So let's go over this top 10 real quick. So number 10, we got Johnny B. Bad. Number 9, we got Ron Simmons. Number 8 is Diamond Stud. Number 7, El Gigante. Number 6, Double A, Arn Anderson. And then number 5, we got Bobby Eaton. Number 4, Steve Austin, who's the television champ at the time. Sting at number 3, Barry Windham at 2, and Lex Luger as number 1 contender. So that's your top 10. Do we have any thoughts about this top 10?
Yes, I'd like to know in what world El Gigante was number 8.
No, he was number 7.
Oh, number 7, I'm sorry. Number 7.
Well, remember, Rick, El Gigante just had that epic feud with Ric Flair where he wanted the belt.
Oh, yes, I remember. I remember that unfortunate feud.
What do you mean unfortunate? It was a great feud. He wanted the belt from Ric Flair.
El Gigante was painful to watch. It's not a disrespect to him. It's just, he was painful to watch.
Was he more painful as El Gigante or more painful as Giant Gonzalez?
Giant Gonzalez never happened. That was a fever dream.
It was a David Lynch fever dream.
This is a fever dream. This is a fever dream where you're laying in bed with 103 fever. That never happened.
Now that I think about it, WrestleMania 9 might have been booked by David Lynch for all I know. But so now we get the Rock and Roll Express explode. Now, you mentioned this earlier, Rick. Now, Ricky Morton had turned heel on Robert Gibson. I think, was it at a Clash he turned on him?
Yes.
Yeah. And he's joined with Alexandria York, the York Foundation, which, for those that don't know, Alexandria York is Terry Reynolds.
And my guess about why they split the Rock and Roll Express up is pretty simple. The Midnights weren't there anymore. It's pretty much, they didn't have their main.
Yeah, the main.
So why not split them up? I never bought Ricky Morton as a heel. But that being said, Robert Gibson was, could sell. Bobby, he could sell like no one's business. But Ricky Morton was the quintessential, please help me, I'm in trouble, come save me, babyface. If you're going to turn one of them heel, you turn Robert Gibson heel, not Ricky Morton.
No, because who could hate Ricky?
Exactly. You don't turn Ricky Morton heel. I never understood that.
It's like how me and Dane always talk about when they turn Becky heel. It's like, why would anybody boo Becky Lynch? It doesn't make any sense.
It's almost kind of like the reverse of the Rockers when they split. Like, could Marty Jannetty been the heel as much as Shawn Michaels played heel for so long? Or,
I mean, Jannetty had his own issues to deal with. I mean, Shawn Michaels was, we're getting off a different topic real quick, Shawn Michaels was clearly the head and shoulders, the better of the two of that team. Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton played off each other so well. They both were well balanced, but Ricky Morton was the quintessential, help me, I need your help, please save me. I don't understand why they made him the heel.
That's why for the longest time with the internet wrestling community, people that said, like, in tag matches, with the face team, they always said the one face is playing Ricky Morton. He gets the crap beat out of him, and then he makes the hot tag to his partner to clear house.
If you're playing the Ricky Morton role, that's why it's called that. Never understood.
Now, I got to mention one thing about this entrance for Ricky. Though I must say, he's now being referred to as Richard Morton because he's in the York Foundation. So he's got to be all corporate now with his name.
How come he didn't get computerized like Terrence Taylor did?
Well, only one person could be the computerized man at the 1990s, Dean. And that had to be the Red Rooster. But I have a question. Why is Ricky Morton coming out to a knockoff version of the Dallas theme song when it's 1991 and Dallas has just gone off the air.
It did sound very like Dallas or almost LA law. It sounded like a real like business drama, primetime soap opera theme. Maybe that was the theme for the whole York Foundation itself. So here he's coming out to it.
I think, if I remember correctly, that was the York Foundation theme, that they kind of used that for everyone in that stable.
Now, Rick, was Mike Rotunda still with the York Foundation, or did he just go to WWF as IRS?
Oh, by that time, if I remember correctly, he had been in WWF for a while at that point, if I remember correctly, like at least a year or so. No, you know what? He went over in like a few months prior. I'm sorry, like in April.
Okay, so how'd they explain him leaving the York Foundation?
They didn't.
Oh.
he just isn't there.
He disappeared into the ether.
You know what I think? I think Alexandria York pulled a Bill Belichick on Mike Rotunda.
He was released from his contract and further endeavored from the York Foundation. Mike Rotunda was kind of like forgotten about. At least he wasn't Captain Mike Rotunda at that point, with the boat anchor on his sights.
Yeah. Oh, I hope to pray to God one day Mattel makes a Captain Mike Rotunda figure. I'd buy it. So let me read Dave's review of this match. Richard Morton pinned Robert Gibson in 1701. They started brawling on the ramp before the match started. Morton then stalled for several minutes. At the 4-minute mark, Morton went after Gibson's bad knee and basically worked on the rest of the way. Robert sold the knee great. They did a 2-minute plus figure 4 spot. Technically, this match wasn't bad, but there was no heat, and because of that, it seemed to drag on. They were both brawling on the ramp again, and each missed a dropkick. Alexandria York then distracted the ref as they both got in the ring. And Morton took the computer and came off the top rope with it for the pin. 1.5 stars.
That wasn't a computer. That was like almost like just a keyboard section of a Commodore 64. It looked like.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of like it looks like something out of like a Pressman or something. I'm going to show it on the screen share here. Okay, I have Alexandria with Ricky here, and look at that. That looks more like a calculator.
Yeah.
That looks like one of those computers that you did basic programming on.
Yeah, basic.
It looked like one of those handhelds that had the screen there with basic programming. Again, and just looking at this, seeing him as a heel didn't make sense at all.
No.
But I will say, Terry's hair at this time looks very amazing.
Oh, she was absolutely rocking the late 80s, early 90s office woman look to
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like even in that, still there, the shoulder pads were padding there on her.
I think, wasn't Terry originally like a hair stylist for Turner, and that's how she got the job?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah, so it's easy to see why Dustin fell for her.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just see. 1.5 stars from Dave, and what did Scott give it? He gave it 1 star.
Like I said, this may have been my favorite match of the card. But the two of them, they at least they knew each other, so they knew how to play off each other's strengths. It wasn't a classic by any stretch of imagination, but it wasn't bad. And Ricky Morton got some general, heat because he was the babyface, and people were upset that he was a heel. But again, I think him playing a heel just was awkward to see because he had been playing the sympathetic face for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of was still getting into that role.
I think if the roles were reversed and it was Robert who had turned and went heel and Ricky was the face, I think it would have worked better that way. But as
you know what? I'll say this. It's certainly a lot better than Jimmy and Jay at WrestleMania last year.
Oh, God, yes.
We'll return to James Dean and Elizabeth Taylor in Giant after these messages. Sunday night on TBS. Beyond the limits of imagination, on the edge of perception, lies a place where the darkest dreams become reality, where obsession crowds reason, and pride can be deadly. Wishes can come true. that at what price lost faith can be restored, but only after staring into the face of evil. Emilio Estevez, Nightmares. Sunday night at 7 Eastern on TBS.
These are enlargements of the long-distance bills of the D'Angelo Moving Company. You're no doubt saying, who cares? And well, you might. Except these bills probably share attributes with your business bills. Look, calling card, fax, general business calls all mixed together so the D'Angelos have to edit each month simply to determine who called whom for what. Same for their 800 bill. And here are the business calls from home that they have to fish out every month. Well, now that we have the D'Angelos and perhaps a few more of you hanging on my every word, on to the point. MCI Preferred. MCI's ingenious new long-distance service for smaller businesses. MCI Preferred combines all these bills into one simple bill, then provides an extra discount on the total. We figure that could save D'Angelo Moving about $1,800 this year, to say nothing of time and effort. We have an operator standing by for your call, Mr. D'Angelo. We also have operators standing by if you're not Mr. D'Angelo. Thank you.
Congratulations, TBS viewers. You've won a fabulous 5-day cruise aboard the Love Boat, where you're guaranteed to find true love. You'll visit exotic locales, Hong Kong, Rome, Paris, London, and your Love Boat crew never actually works, so they've got plenty of time to love you. And you'll also experience the dreamy song stylings of Engelbert Humperdinck. Yes, Engelbert Humperdinck. The Love Boat World Tour 91. Setting sail Monday morning at 10:05 Eastern on TBS.
What's the difference at 7-Eleven?
Super pickups. You can't get those anyplace else. Did I hear someone say thirsty?
Perfect.
Don't pass on by. Come on in.
At 7-Eleven, we can quench any size thirst.
We have Coke, we have Pepsi, we have all the soft drinks you ever need. Super pickup. Proper. We got the hottest prices on cold drinks.
We're going to get you out of here with a smile on your face, I guarantee it.
So that's the difference. If you want a cold drink, why go anyplace else?
Now, when you buy a 32-ounce Big Gulp, you get a free plastic WCW wrestling cup.
Tonight on TBS, Eric Davis and the world champion Reds have one mission: repeat as champs. Their quest continues in a battle with David Justice and the Braves, Atlanta and Cincinnati. Live at 7:30 Eastern on TBS tonight.
We now return to James Dean and Elizabeth Taylor in Giant.
All right, so let's get into our next match. It's a 6-man elimination match with Dustin Rhodes, who we mentioned earlier, and the young pistols of Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong against the Freebirds, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin, with Bad Street. Now, let's describe who Bad Street is. Bad Street is a guy in a mask, and it's Brad Armstrong in a mask.
And he's...
Oh, how far the Freebirds had sunk.
For some reason, Oliver Humperdinck is out there as Big Daddy Dink.
Big Daddy Dink. And this is really the end of the Freebirds. Obviously, Terry Gordy wasn't there anymore, and the expiration date on the Freebirds had long since passed. Putting Brad Armstrong in a mask and calling him Bad Street was ridiculous, to put it mildly.
Now, I forget, because was it either Brad or his brother Steve that was in the Arachnaman get-up?
That was also
earlier.
Brad.
That was also Brad.
Man, they had Brad doing a lot of stuff at this time.
And I think they would keep doing that, too, because I think, was it Brad, too, that was Buzzkill in Russo's WCW, playing off little brother Jesse James' gimmick?
Yep.
Yes.
Robo.
Oh, God.
And the sad thing is, Brad Armstrong may have been the most talented of the Armstrong kids. He may have the most talent.
Yeah, because Greg and I, we've done a couple of Georgia Championship Wrestling shows, and he was the highlight of both shows that we've done.
Yeah, because we watched the match he had with Flair at the Omni in that one house show from '84 that they put up on the Vault channel. We came away with it really loving Brad and the way he worked and such with Rick.
Yeah, Brad Armstrong had the talent, and his brother Road Dogg, he had not so much the talent, but he had the mic skills.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that Brad never, supposedly, from everything I've heard about Brad backstage, he was a great guy. He was a funny guy backstage, but I don't know. I guess when it came to television, it never translated well in television. It's like he couldn't develop like a good, compelling character go to his work rate. And that's kind of, sad in a way. All right. So this is a 6-man elimination tag match. So let me get into the, let me see. Will I go with Dave or will I go with Scott? Okay. I'll go with Scott here for this review for this match. Want to know how bad the tag situation was in 91? The Birds have both the U.S. and 6-man tag titles. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're the reigning U.S. champions with Michael and Jimmy, and with Bad Street, they have the 6-man tag belts. I forgot they had 6-man tag belts in WCW. And if they do, they're not around for long, the 6-man belts.
Yeah.
Okay. Brad Armstrong is 5,000% better than both Hayes and Garvin combined. So, of course, we never get to see him here. Instead, most of what he does is running around outside and pissing off the faces with his Ultra Rudo act, which I dig more than anything that WCW produced in this time period. The Freebirds waste copious amounts of time trying to get the crowd to do anything. No dice.
It was a match. It was a match. I know they did elimination style too, which made the match drag on even longer. It was the Freebirds doing Freebird stuff. Brad Armstrong trying his best to be, a distraction and the cocky masked heel.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, and Dustin Rhodes was still green at the time, so he wasn't bad, of course. And the Young Pistols weren't a bad team. It's just the Freebirds were well past, like I said, they were well past their sell-by date, and you could see it at this point, and it just seemed to drag on forever. I think this was the longest match of the night, if I remember correctly.
I think the Ricky Robert match went about 16 minutes, but let me just see if Dave has a time here. I think it was 13:49, I think, and 15. I think let's see. I think it might have been the same length as the Ricky and Robert match, if I'm adding the times together that Dave has here. So,
I looked it up. The WCW 6-man title was only around for the year of 1991.
Oh,
February to December.
Well, I'll say this: if I want to go with 6-man belts, I'll take either the AEW Trios title or the World Class 6-man titles. Thank you very much.
The original champions of the WCW 6-man title, just for trivia purposes here, were the Junkyard Dog, Ricky Morton, and Tommy Rich. And they beat the team of Buddy Landell, Dutch Mantel, and Dr. X.
Who the fuck is Dr. X?
It could have been a variety of people.
I know the Dr. X, and there was a lot of times, I know in the 90s WWF house shows, there was always a Dr. X, and it was apparently Tom Pritchard in a mask.
This was Moondog Rex.
Wow, Moondog Rex.
No, that's a Chikara Pro Trios tournament match right there with those 6.
Okay, so Dustin is the sole survivor. He beats Bad Street to win this. And we'll say, seeing Dustin and Brad Armstrong wrestle, I mean, that's good. I mean, that's the only good thing about this match is you get to see Dustin and Brad wrestle each other. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Dave gave this a 1.25 stars, and so did Scott. So they both agree on that.
There was a decent elimination style match. Once we got down to Bad Street / Brad Armstrong and Dustin Rhodes, it got infinitely better because even though it was just kind of a weird, like the first elimination, Hayes pins Steve Armstrong, and then for whatever reason, after he pinned him, he tossed him over the top rope, and I guess the referee decided to disqualify Hayes because I guess they probably still had, I don't know, were they using the top? If you the top rope elimination or eliminate.
Yep.
You get the fight.
The over the top roll was still in effect.
Okay.
They had that rule for a long time in WCW, I think. The over the top rule.
Yeah.
They carried that over from the NWA for years.
Now let's get into our next match. It's going to be Johnny B. Bad with Teddy Long against a masked wrestler going by the Yellow Dog. The Yellow Dog. He's a guy coming out to the ring in yellow tights and a mask, and he has a yellow dog with him. And weirdly, he's coming out to Flying Brian's music. Huh.
That couldn't be Flying Brian for some reason under that mask, could it?
No.
No.
No, it couldn't be. I mean, it's not like he's coming out wearing cowboy gimmick and calling himself the Midnight Rider.
That's right, baby. I'm booking this shit. And then we get the introduction of Johnny B. Bad. Now, okay, I gotta freaking play this for everybody. Okay, hold on a second.
And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, the Godfather of WCW, Theodore R. Long, proudly presents from Macon, Georgia. He weighs 251 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny B. Bad.
Johnny B. Bad making his first pay-per-view appearance wrestling with the Godfather, Theodore R. Long, at his side. Get those piano keys right down that road. We love Johnny B. Bad. Well, hope your mom and dad don't see it. They let him come to the Great American Bash, and what he does, what does he do but hold a sign up for Johnny B. Bad? I'm only being facetious, fans. He's a very unique individual. I have had some very thought-provoking conversations with him about his outlook on wrestling. Oh, yeah? Don't be, not that kind of conversation. Don't be misled by his exterior. You can't tell the package by its wrapping. He's a 5-time New York State Golden Gloves boxing champion. He holds a victory over Razor Ruddock. Mike Tyson holds a couple of victories over Razor Ruddock, too, so it shows you the league that Johnny B. Bad is in. He has got a dynamite left hand.
Now, real quick, did you guys recognize in the crowd shot, the guy in the tank top with the glasses there?
It's Vladimir.
It's Vladimir.
Wearing a nice Lex Luger shirt.
Yep, that's Steve Vladimir. And just for a point of reference, I did not have the sign that said I love Johnny B. Bad. So that was not me.
Did you have the sign that I saw earlier that was 2 + 2 equals to Steiner's IQ?
I didn't see that one. I think it was in the upper deck of the show, so I wouldn't be able to see.
Yeah, I think this one was kind of at ringside. I think I remember seeing it during the Arn and Paul interview with Eric Bischoff there. So, yeah.
I do have a quick funny story about the Steiner brothers. I went to a house show where the Steiners were wrestling Doom, and I had close to ringside seats. And Rick Steiner is on the outside and turns to the crowd and goes, "Hey, start chanting Doom sucks dick." And the crowd starts doing it.
Oh my God.
It's one of those funniest damn things. Goes, "Hey, start chanting Doom sucks dick." And sure enough, the crowd starts doing it. Well, I don't know if you guys heard in that ring intro, but during the match, the crowd kind of sort of started chanting the F slur at Bad.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that it makes the network/Peacock version of this show, but I think at one point, the Yellow Dog / Brian says in front of the camera, "Johnny, don't be bad. Johnny, be gay."
Yeah, and that kind of started the F slur in the arena?
Because I watched this on the link there, and I think that's what Greg's using here. Because I know for a few seconds, it's just the screen is black, and you can just hear the audio, and then we have on the bottom there we have like that presented in the most complete form possible due to original production technical difficulties.
Yeah,
So,
they did cut that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So let's get into the review here from Dave for this match. Yellow Dog Brian Pillman beat Johnny B. Bad via DQ in 6 minutes. It was a very long 6 minutes, too. Bad does a great ring entrance, a line that appears in at least once in each observer, but he's nowhere near ready in the ring for what they're pushing him for. He did a great sunset flip off the top rope and clearly has potential, but he's years from being ready in the ring. Dog hit a flying body press and had Bad pinned when Teddy Long interfered for the DQ. After the match, Bad sucker punched Dog to the floor. 3/4 of a star. And Scott gave this a star.
Dave is saying that he's not ready, but yet he's like on the top 10 list already. The rankings for WCW.
That's a good point. I mean, he was making his pay-per-view debut, and yet he was number 10.
Yeah.
And then again, who are you going to put ahead of him? Oz? PN News? Black Bart?
I do appreciate JR when we were watching Johnny's intro saying, hey, this guy's a Golden Gloves champion. He beat Razor Reddick as an amateur, and y'all know what Razor Reddick did. So he's trying to put over Johnny Bad, like, hey, don't let the look fool you. This guy's a legit.
Just reminds me of the Chappelle Show sketch with Charlie Murphy's Hollywood Stories when he's talking about Prince, how they all took him not so seriously because they're all dressed in the blouses and stuff, and he schooled them, Charlie Murphy and his friends, in basketball. So that's good on Jim Ross for trying to help legitimize the funny-looking guy.
And I will say, when Johnny becomes a face, I think by like 93 or 94, he is like super over the crowd when he's a face, because by that time it's like he's got the experience. Dave mentions that in his reviews, like he's years away from being ready. But when he's ready, he was terrific. I even liked like when he first came to WWF as in the Wild Man gimmick. I thought he was like sensational in it before he got into it.
Yeah, you could tell watching this that there was something. I mean, yeah, he was doing the effeminate Little Richard, although like it's almost like it's a twist on the old Gorgeous George gimmick. But you could tell he could actually go. He had some ability to him.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go to Eric in the locker room with Missy Hyatt. Now I got to play this because this segment is something else. So let's go to Eazy-E.
Well, thanks, Jim and Tony, and I get a chance to be a part of a first here at the Great American Bash. I've been asked to conduct an interview with Missy Hyatt in her locker room. There goes her locker room attendant now. Maybe we can find out if Missy Hyatt's ready for this interview or not. I hear her attendant making her way back. I'll check with her, see what...
Miss Hyatt, there's a card also. Could you read it to me, please? Keep a dream in your heart and follow it always. Have fun and don't get hurt. Love, Jason.
I don't know if you heard that or not. Jason Hervey, of course, sending a card to Missy Hyatt prior to the match. Not at all like the character he plays on ABC's Wonder Years. Well, let's see if we can find Ms. Hyatt and see if she's ready for this interview. Ms. Hyatt? Ms. Hyatt? Well, here are things. Obviously, she's in the locker room. I hear noise in... Oh. Oh, I love this job. Somebody's got to do it, right? Miss Hyatt. Miss Hyatt, I wanted to talk to you about your match. Miss Hyatt. Miss Hyatt, I came back. I just wanted to talk to you about the match. Jim, Tony, I'm sorry. Obviously, timing is everything, and obviously mine is very bad. Back to you guys.
It ain't easy being easy.
Talk about a bad first day on the job.
Can I just say how weird it is to see Missy Hyatt not as a blonde?
Yes. It threw me off too. I was always used to her as every other time I've seen her, she's blonde, and here she is dark haired.
I do appreciate the irony of the note from Jason Hervey to Missy, because I know they were dating at the time, but also we all know that Jason goes on to be a business partner with Eric later on.
He does. I did not realize. You know what? Just realized that. That's right. He was a partner with Bischoff later.
Yeah. In fact, I know I'm going to be all card geek here. Rick, you love when I get all card geek when me and Mike talk about the cards right on the show.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Jason Hervey, I believe, has some signed cards in a TNA TriStar set. I've considered getting one. I need to check out the price, but I have considered getting one of those signed Jason Hervey cards from that set.
I want to know, were they in Ron Simmons' locker room with the Florida State towel that was hanging there?
Yeah, it was clearly the babyface locker room. So, All right, now we get into. Oh my God, this is a lumberjack match between Big Josh, Matt Bourne, the future Doink the Clown, and Black Blood with Kevin Sullivan, who's Billy Jerk Haynes.
And for some reason, there was actually no Kevin Sullivan who came out with him.
Yeah, but the hilarious thing is, okay, Black Blood is billed as being from a little town in France. And I'm going to share with you JR's reaction to the announcement by Gary Michael Capetta, because it's something else.
And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, from a little town in France, weighing 276 pounds, Black Blood.
From a little town in France, what is that, Smallville? I've often wondered about that, the little town in France.
God, I love professional wrestling sometimes.
Let me see our lumberjacks here real quick. Let me just try to see who our lumberjacks are. I think I see Ricky. I see Dustin. I think I see PN News. I think Terry Taylor's there. Yeah. Hold on. I think Terry Taylor is wearing what he said with Dusty last show, Dane. I think Terry's wearing an handicap hat here. Now, I got to comment. There's this one fan here in the front row. If you're watching this at the 141.32 mark on Peacock, there's this fan here wearing this weird black suit shirt. I don't get this.
It looks like a tuxedo shirt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's one of those novelty tuxedo shirt things that's... But why he's wearing it is a whole other story, I guess.
Black Blood, Billy Jerky throws Big Josh to the side, and here comes Ricky, here comes Terry Taylor. I think, let's see, was that one? I think that's Norman the Lunatic, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think that's Dick Murdoch. Yeah, it's Dick Murdoch.
That's Dick Murdoch. Yeah. And Dickie Slater's next to him.
Oh, Dick Slater. Oh, that's fantastic.
Dick Murdoch and Dick Slater come into play later on.
Yeah.
Oh, JYD's there.
Oh, okay, good. So... Now we can have another Dave Meltzer body shaming JYD moment.
Oh, yeah. Because as we all know, according to Dave, Junk Food Dog was he was cool with that. I don't think he was cool with that, Dave. I don't think he was cool with that. You fat shamed him in your newsletter constantly.
Boy, that match had two people that were in the original WrestleMania as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because JYD was at the original WrestleMania and Big Josh was at the original WrestleMania.
Yep.
He wrestled in the very first match ever at WrestleMania.
No, I think Matt Bourne wrestled the third match.
Was he the? He was the executioner.
Yeah, no. The Executioner was Buddy Rose.
Oh, that's right. Executioner was Buddy Rose. That's right. I get this two mixed up.
Yep. Matt Bourne wrestled Ricky Steamboat on the show. So
That's
the third
right.
match.
That's right. The Executioner was Buddy Rose. That's right.
Okay, so let me go to Scott here for this match. This was not a smart idea on WCW's part. I'll say that much. Kick and punch and the usual screwy stuff involved with a lumberjack match. And still Black Blood tries to rise above the convoluted booking and actually makes a match out of it. I guess no one told him about Flair. A big brawl ensues and Dustin Rhodes whacks Black Blood with an axe handle, allowing Josh to get the pin. A star and 3/4. I just can't give it 2 stars in good conscience. It actually got the crowd going. And Dave gave it star and 3/4 also.
The biggest thing about that match was it was more of the, in a lumberjack match, it's more the outside of the ring stuff than anything than the actual ring itself. So, yeah, you had a bunch of people on the outside. The stuff's going on the outside. It got interesting there. But otherwise, it was okay. Both Jig Jazz and Black Blood, really, they were there, No one took Black Blood seriously. I don't. Was he there that long? Really? He was not there that long. I don't think.
No, I think he actually got to the point Black Blood where he had like a prototype WCW Galoob figure. Could you imagine if we actually had a Billy Jerk Haynes WCW Galoob figure in reality?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, interesting doesn't describe enough how Billy Jack Haynes, because oh god, Rick, have you watched that Dark Side of the Ring with Billy Jack Haynes?
Yes, I have.
Did you come away with it not thinking this is the most insane human being that's ever lived?
I watched an episode, and that may have been the most interesting episode that they did, just because it's legitimately true. But half the stuff can't be true. This can't be true. It is, but I couldn't believe half the stuff. It was insane.
Now let's get into our next match. And here we go. It's El Gigante against the One Man Gang. And I have to say, One Man Gang with Kevin Sullivan, they look like early 80s glam rockers with the makeup they got.
Glam rockers / they're just coming out from the S&M bar, because you got Kevin Sullivan coming out just in his regular tights, and then you have One Man Gang and his stuff. They got like a dog collar around each other there too.
Okay, now I have this paused at 1:49:06. I think Eric's conducting an interview with the two of them, and Eric has the most bewildered looking face on right here.
It's kind of like the couple at the bar that's been buying you drinks all night that gives you that look.
Oh.
I will give credit to Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan played such a convincing heel, maybe one of the best heels in the business, so much so that people still say that he's the one who's responsible for Chris Benoit and his family dying, which is ridiculous. But he was one of the most convincing heels that there ever was.
Yeah, go back to even the early 80s with all the devil worshipping stuff. That's why people think that he's actually into Satanism and stuff like that.
Never. One of the best things that Sullivan, I watched an interview he did later on. He said the whole devil worshipping. I never mentioned. And he's right. I never once mentioned the devil. I never once mentioned Satan. I never ever did that on purpose, because I knew if I did that, it would have never worked in Florida. That would have crossed the line. He mentioned the Habuddin and the Cosmic Cookie and all this other mumbo jumbo that sounded satanic, but it wasn't. He just mentioned a whole bunch of stuff that sounded mystic, but it's never satanic.
Yeah.
And now we get El Gigante coming out to the ring with
God, I forgot about that.
Okay.
I forgot
were these little people going to be like munchkins for Oz, or what the?
Oh, they may have been the munchkins for Oz. Oh my God, I forgot this happened. Oh my goodness.
One person that's on El Gigante's show, I think that might be Tiger Jackson, aka Dink, on his shoulder. It looks like him. I just love El Gigante brought little people with him.
I forgot. Oh man, there's little Louie. Oh.
Better yet, the little people, they get into some shenanigans with Sullivan. Sullivan.
Look at Gang here. Oh, this is so freaking. I'll fight it, Gang. The little people.
Well, you're not pulling the King Kong Bundy shit on me like Vince did at WrestleMania 3 with little people and.
One man Gang's like, I need to get out of the ring. This is some bullshit.
One man Gang says, I'm ready to go back to Africa. I did a little looking up while we were looking at this match. You know, the crazy thing is, One Man Gang was only 30 when that match went on.
What?
He was only 30. He was born in, I'm sorry, 31. I did the math wrong. He was born in 1960. He was 31 when that match was going on.
People aged much differently back then.
He was in his 20s as Akeem.
Amazing. Oh, okay. So I got to get his review here. Gigante came down to the ring with 4 little people wrestlers who ran around biting Gang in the butt and harassing Kevin Sullivan. This was really bad, although Gang did take a slam off the top rope, which is pretty impressive considering his size. Gigante got the collar on Sullivan, who gave Gang powder. Before he could throw the powder, Gigante kicked his hand. The powder went in Gang's face, and Gigante clotheslined Gang from behind for the pin. Negative half star. And Scott gave this negative 2 stars. I'll say this, for comedy, it was 5 stars.
Oh, yeah.
This match was better than the Scaffold match. That's not saying much.
But like I said, but at least you had the laughs there. Like the 7'7" guy coming on with 4 little people. You got the 4 little people scampering around, causing chaos and mischief before the match. And yeah, that's
it. You at least had a little humor to that match. Yeah, the match itself was terrible, but the little people coming out. Oh God, I forgot that. That is hilarious. It at least made that entertaining itself. El Gigante, at least there, was mobile. Whatever condition that he had that made him pretty much immobile as Giant Gonzalez wasn't taking effect yet. So at least he was mobile enough. But it was still hard to watch him work just because it was so awkward and gangly.
So now we get into our next match, a Russian chain match between Nikita Koloff and Sting. And there's a hilarious video package before the match about the history of the feud. And I'd say it's hilarious because Sting's with like this fan at ringside, and Nikita comes from behind with Sting and beats him with the Russian chain. So much so, it horrifies this mother with her son who Sting was with. And I have it shared on the screen share at 20148. His mother is holding the young fan back like, no, son, don't see this.
Don't see this. I think afterwards, like even Nikita menaces the kid as well too.
Oh yeah, because I'm playing it right now. The mother has to come out from the crowd like, no. God. So, Rick, what was the crowd hoping for this Russian change match? I think they were probably hoping like, okay, now hopefully we're going to get something good. We're going to have like blood or something or whatever.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the last couple matches that are steel cage matches, okay, we're going to get either going to be bloody. And wait a minute. Well, we're in Maryland, so bleeding in a match could cause the match to end early. Remember, 1988.
Oh yeah.
This is true.
It'll end earlier, or else freaking what's his face? Freaking Chris Cruz is gonna raise a shit fit with the state athletic commission.
And people were expecting this match to be a good, because Sting was always good. Koloff was always good. Koloff was still a badass. He could still go. People were expecting this in a wrestling chain match. Okay, this would be a great grudge match. It's going to be, both of them going at it, both of them going, fighting each other. It shouldn't have been an entertaining match. And it was not. Kind of awkward, I guess.
It was awkward because they had the stupid stipulation of like what they do in the strap match where you have to touch all four corners.
Right. I find it funny that the Koloff was still the Russian, the Soviet badass when we were about a few weeks. So we're basically the Cold War's over. The Soviet Union would not exist in a few months.
Yeah, the Soviet Union would break up around Christmas time of 91.
They were a month away from the coup happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because Yeltsin's going to take power soon.
Exactly.
Let's get into the review here from Dave. Nikita Koloff beat Sting in a chain match at 11:37. Some good pops for low blows. Both guys touched the first three quarters and brawled for a while, then sprinted to hit the fourth quarter with Nikita hitting it first. Sting gave Nikita a low blow with the chain after the match was over. 2.25 stars, and Scott gave this 1 star.
Yeah, it was a decent match. It was from I don't think it was ended up just kind of being 91 as well. With I think both WWF and WCW were starting to cut back on deliberate blading jobs because of the scare of HIV and AIDS spreading. So I think that's one strike against not having blood in this match. And yeah, I think there was some fun low blow spots from Sting as the face on the Dastardly heel. But yeah, I think unfortunately, like I said, the stupid touch to four corners, that too I've never really liked unless you do it really smartly. I think the best strap matches were the Caribbean strap matches there between Savio Vega and Steve Austin. So
yeah, take that for what it's worth. But Dane, I have to say, when we reviewed that strap match between Hogan and Vader and Uncensored, we gotta admit that the ending of that match with Rick being the one to get strapped to the four corners, that was funny.
Yeah, that was
because at least it was creative. Because it's uncensored. Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares? Let's throw out all the rules.
When I think of strap matches, the first match that always pops in my head would be the Yapapai Indian strap match.
Yes!
Just because of the fantastic promos that Hogan did, talking about the four corners of the battle zone and to prepare yourself for the strapation, brother.
I'm going to call out to the strap master, Jimmy Hart, brother.
Give me Yapapai Indian strap, number 1.
It is one of the most Hogan promos of all time. That's the best way I can put it.
It's the most Hogan that Hogan ever Hoganed.
Even though there's no such thing as Yapapai Native Americans, somehow freaking Jimmy Hart was like, "Here's a strap, Hulk. You know what to do, baby." And then Hulk's like, "Yeah, that's right, the Yapapai Indian strap."
Actually, I looked this up later on. There is a Yapapai, but it's pronounced Yap. It's Yabapai. It's pronounced Yapapai. There is an Indian tribe called that in Arizona.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm amazed. I did not realize that actually existed. Thank you, Rick, for letting us know.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, so all right, we're going to get into the rundown with Lex and Barry. And Lex and Barry, they have a history, as JR points out. They were former world tag champs. They've come close to being the champ on many occasions. Now, I have this pause, guys, at 2:23:35. I have Tony's face here, right here, as JR's talking about the match. Tony's got a face like, this is going to be freaking terrible. Like, I know that face Tony gets. Like, Tony's a guy who does not hide what he's actually thinking on his face. Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Rick was stripped of the title, so now it's Lex and Barry for the title. And so, as we mentioned earlier, Rick has the belt with his possession. So WCW doesn't have a title belt. So what do they do? Now, you're not seeing this because this is an audio podcast. But in my Zoom background here, I have in my background the belt they actually used. And I think I might have this as a visual aid on our socials just to give you guys an idea. So we have this title belt here that says heavyweight champion, and they put like a plate, like they add a plate on top of the belt that says World Championship Wrestling, and they put like add plates onto the belt. It's so ridiculous.
And if you look at the plate, the World Championship Wrestling belt itself, the wording on it is off center.
They couldn't even pay someone well enough to make it centered. That's how half-assedly they assembled this.
This is just awful. Now, Rick, I know everyone's chanting during the match, "We want Flair." And it's like, what were you thinking during this match?
It was this. Now, the "We want Flair" chants went on during matches, especially during quiet parts of matches when things got boring. This match from jump, "We want Flair" kept going on and on the entire match. Anything done. No one's booing. No one's cheering. It is "We want Flair. We want Flair. We want" the entire match. I'm watching the match. I'm trying to enjoy the match and all, and it was insane. It's just like not 10,000 people sitting there just chanting "We want Flair" the entire match, and it was kind of a surreal match to watch because I give credit to Luger and Wyndham. They got handed a no-win scenario. So you got to go out there and put on a match in the worst possible thing. Like, Ric Flair, the face of the Federation's gone. Heel or, good guy or bad guy. He was WCW. He's gone. You're going to have to pick up the ball and run with it and try to entertain the fans. The fans want nothing to do with this. This is not the match they signed up for. It was a surreal thing to watch.
And it's so bad for WCW. I think at one point, while Lex has Barry in a sleeper, they actually cut to the crowd. And they cut to, hold on a second. They cut to this kid by the guardrail flexing.
I mean, the crowd, some people were trying to get into it, but at this point, most of the matches have been bad. The show has been a mess from start to finish. And now you've got this match that has absolutely no build-up whatsoever. It's two guys wrestling for, here's the thing. It's two guys wrestling for a championship. That should be enough to, get people interested. But there's absolutely no build to this whatsoever. It's been Flair Luger, and now all of a sudden, Flair's gone, and you put in Barry Windham, who, great wrestler, but he ain't Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now let's get into the finish of this match. Now, for some reason, Harley Race comes walking to the ring with Mr. Hughes, who at this time is associated with the York Foundation, so it's confusing as to why Harley Race is coming out with Mr. Hughes. But then, Mr. Hughes is distracting Barry, and then Harley says something to Lex like, "Now is the time, Lex. Now is the time," or something to that effect.
Yep.
And that fires up Lex, and he delivers a pile driver, which was Harley's move, and he pins Barry, and he's the champ.
And then he leaves with Harley and Mr. Hughes for some reason.
And I will say that when he won the title, I actually popped because, number one, the whole Harley Race thing, I didn't understand what the hell was going on. But I was like, oh my God, he finally won the championship. I popped for that because I rooted for Luger. Oh my God, he finally won the title. I popped for it. And then I went, why is he with Harley Race? And then I went, who the hell's Harley Race? And I literally was like, I had no idea about Harley Race. I'm like, who is that guy? What's he doing there? It was confusing to say the least. And why he's leaving with him and all that made no sense whatsoever.
So Dave gave this 3 stars, and Scott, did he give it a star rating? I don't know if he did or not, but I'd say Dave's rating of 3 stars is kind of accurate because, give Lex and Barry credit. They tried their asses off to get a good match here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Rick said earlier, this was a no-win situation for them, and it's almost similar to WrestleMania 20 with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, with both Goldberg's contract ending and then Lesnar was about to leave for try to go in the NFL, and the MSG crowd was giving them nothing.
You're absolutely right, James. This is the best equivalent to it is that Goldberg-Lesnar match from WrestleMania 20. I've watched the match later on. It wasn't a bad match. They both were doing their damnedest to put on a good match.
Yeah.
And had it not been on the heels of Ric Flair quitting WCW, had all this other backstage stuff not been going on and just been that match,
yeah,
the crowd would have been pretty into that. That would have been a pretty good match.
Yeah, because it wasn't. I think Greg said, there was at least, and like you said, there was at least after the match, when Luger won, there was a decent-ish pop for him winning because the guy finally got what he did. The rest of that match would have been all right, but the crowds, between all the knowing what happened behind the scenes, and the crowd chanting "We want Flair," that's almost as even now with recently with the WWE crowd from about a week after R-Truth was released, chanting "We want Truth" almost in every match. It takes you out of the match.
Yeah, it absolutely did. It was just the whole specter of Ric Flair being no longer in WCW carried over this entire show. And this last match, well, not last match, but this world title match in specific, because this is where all the vitriol about Flair not being there reared its ugly head. When you've got fans going, "We want Flair" for 10 straight minutes and not stopping, there's not much you can do about that.
Yep.
So now let's get into our main event of the show.
So as OSW Review would say, the main event, a.k.a. no main event, with no main eventers.
Missy Hyatt and Rick Steiner against Arn Anderson and Paul Lee. Now,
cage as well.
Oh yeah, they did. I guess they kept the cage. It's we're not going to disassemble the cage for this shit. Okay, but I do love Paul Lee's getup here. And this the most 1991 jacket to ever, 1991, with the neon pink and neon green.
And
he's wearing Zubaz. Please tell me he's wearing Zubaz.
It looks like it's smothered in paint or something.
Yeah.
And here's Rick coming out with brunette Missy, which is still weird.
What? It's weird, but she pulling off that look. Actually, she almost.
I'm gonna say that actually is a good look for her.
Yeah.
Again, got the neon leggings there and the black tank top, and almost pulling off, almost looking like Kelly from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, she looks super attractive in this getup.
But now we're going to see the highlight of this match, which is Missy gets kidnapped by not quite ninjas, but a double Dick.
Dick Slater and Dick Murdoch are kidnapping Missy. They're like, "Sorry, Missy, the Maryland State Athletic Commission said you can't wrestle this match." Oh my! Did Dick Murdoch punch a fan here? Oh my
Yes,
God.
he did. Yes, he did. And knowing what I know about Dick Murdoch, I'm surprised it wasn't an African American.
Oh, yeah, that is true. So now it's a handicap match between Paulie and Arn and Rick here. Now look at Paul; he's just hiding in the corner, right? Like, no, I don't want to be involved in this. And then, look, a guy has a cartoon bubble that says "Want Flair." Oh my word. Okay, so all you need to know about this match is Rick lays out Arn and he pins Paulie after a clothesline. 208. Dave gave this a dud. That's it. That's your show, everybody. So, okay, let's get into the best part about these WCW shows is the credit. All right, let me get this screen share going, and let's get into the credits because we've been waiting patiently. Okay, here we go. Executive producer, Pizza Hut favorite Jim Herd.
Nobody else in the Hut. Virgil Reynolds.
Virgil? I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
Producers, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. Supervising producers, Keith Mitchell and David F. Crockett. Director, Craig Levers. Assistant directors, Dan Bunham Jr. and Rob Wright. Associate director, Chris Huber. Director, Craig Levers. Audio by Rick Wallace. Satellite and Anastasine. Okay. Bill Kaplan.
Yeah, Anastation. Probably sounds Italian or Greek.
Bill Kaplan is also on audio. Electric Graphics is Bill Reynolds, spelled Rennolds. Videotape, Ken Horstman and Timmy Jones. Video, Trish Regan. Engineer in charge, Rhett Van Buskirk. That sounds like the most gimmick name I've ever gimmicked. Maintenance, Jim Pyle. Of course, a guy doing maintenance would be named Jim Pyle. Camera, Tim Smith, Mike Snyder, Jeanine Anderson, Jackie Crockett, Oz Coleman, Bob Dean, Tim Dean. Steadicam, Steve Shepard. Steadicam assistant, Wes Benton. On location production by Bill Tinsley and Neil Pruitt. Feature producer, Mike Balansick. Production managers, R.A. Bear Berman. Production runner, Robin Villa. Unit manager, Lee Estroff and Josh Marks. Stage manager, Paul Henslick. It sounds like
Helmervik. That's probably Scandinavian of some sort.
Okay, Eastern European or something.
Yeah.
Lighting design, Jeff Bornstein. Lighting, Bandit Lights. Set design, Tobin's Lake Studios. Pyrotechnics from Beyond Belief Productions, Inc. Pyrotechnicians, Keith Hellebrand, Eric Larson, Brian Ortman. Head rigger, Donnie Carell. Head carpenter, Bill Cheverton. Sound, Paragon Productions. Security director, our old favorite, Doug Dillinger. But the catering guys, stuff in turkey.
So what? Just that's all you have is just turkey and stuff, or turkey stuffing.
It's a little too early for turkey to do the catering.
Yeah.
Grips, Roger Shearer, Chris Scanella, Fleet Supervisor David Griffin, Production Facilities, VTE, Mobile Television Productions, Upland Capital Satellite. Special thanks to Brian Snell, Rose Smith, Scott Marks, Rick Laster, Mike Reynolds, IATSE Local Number 19, Blaine Lipsky, and the staff of the Baltimore Arena. And that's it. There it is. Copyright's going to come up. Yep, copyright. World Championship Wrestling, Turner Home Entertainment, all rights reserved. And that's it. That's your show. Oh, this was so awful. I always joke about how when someone says it's the worst ever, and I always go, oh, this is not the worst ever. This was the worst ever. This is like one of the worst. I can't sarcastically say this was good. No, this is terrible.
Well, again, you can't even enjoy this ironically. Like, it's even taking out the whole Flair drama stuff. All the other matches were just bleh.
I really think the whole Flair thing may have added to just the wrestlers, the matches themselves, just being blah. But then again, just looking at the match card itself was just really bad, really, really bad. It's just Ron Simmons, nothing against Ron, and Oz, the Diamond Stud and Tom Zank, PN News in a scaffold match. It was easily a transition period for WCW. It clearly was. And losing Flair, they had to hit the reset button on a lot of things really quick because, things are going to be, they had to put new guys up top and everything. This, to be honest, 1991 kind of, just not just with WCW, with WWE as well. I mean, you hit, I would say, the bottom of the barrel in 1993 when it comes to wrestling, period. In my opinion.
Yeah, even 91 with WWF, because I think when 91 you just you're coming off Warrior as champ, and you got Sergeant Slaughter there winning the belt, and you got the whole Iraq War angle going on, and WrestleMania 7 being moved from 100,000 fans in LA to like 10,000 people in the little rinky-dink LA Sports Arena. And even there too, and I think 91 is when I think even starts with the feds closing in on Vince McMahon for investigating for the steroid distribution stuff.
This started a real down period with just both federations in general. I mean, 93 I think was the bottom of the barrel for sure, but 91 just, there's a lot of stuff that was hard to watch in wrestling in general. Like I said, I went to a lot of cards when I was younger, and this easily was the worst card I had ever been to. And I went to a couple late pay-per-views with WCW. I can't remember. It was one of the last, I don't know if it was Starrcade, or it was one of the last pay-per-views near the end for WCW.
Was it the one with the ladder match with 3 Count and the Young Dragons?
No, this was the one where Scott Steiner sicked the actual dogs on Sting.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
That was near the bottom of the barrel bad. But the biggest pop of the night is when Scott Steiner came out and said WCW sucks. It was also the night that Master P and the No Limit Soldiers wrestled the West Texas Rednecks.
Yes. Now, hold on a second. I listened to the episode of Between the Sheets the week of the press conference with Master P, and they have Mean Gene, and he's running over Master P, and my favorite part is he talks about like a song that Master P says, and I think it's the first and only time I've ever heard Mean Gene Okerlund say, "I miss my homies." And I laughed for 5 minutes in my car right before I went to work. The moment we saw El Gigante with the little people, that's how I laughed so hard. That was the same laugh I had during that.
We need someone like Mean Gene Okerlund these days. Like, he'd help us get over the fact that Jelly Roll is going to be having a match here at SummerSlam.
That would be entertaining to see Mean Gene interview Jelly Roll. That would have been great to see.
Yeah, with all due respect, I love Taffy Kelly, but I would have loved to have seen Mean Gene interview Jelly Roll, or one of these no-name celebrities that freaking shows up on Raw these days. At least he'd try to get some gold out of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Well, Rick, I want to thank you for coming on this episode. And anytime you want to come back, you're openly invited to come back anytime you want.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you guys for having me on. And I appreciate being able to share some, I guess you call these fond memories of a card that is memorable for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, next time me and Dane will be back here on the Squared Circle Time Machine, we are going to go over a 2002 episode of WWE SmackDown that was so action-packed that we had to talk about it, because there's one thing that we have to talk about. And that's the opening sequence.
The opening sequence.
It's Stephanie McMahon's first episode of SmackDown. As GM.
Debut of Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio. And also the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. And we'll be talking all about that on the Squared Circle Time Machine next time we're here. That was Dane. That was Rick.
And I'm Greg.
And we will see you for that episode coming up real soon. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.
Our thoughts certainly with Samoa Joe. Known this man for a long time, and if anybody is as resilient here in this job, certainly Samoa Joe.
Yeah, and we obviously wishing Samoa Joe all the best as some tense moments to begin our night here tonight. But fans, shifting gears, just want to mention that DraftKings Sportsbook is official partner of AEW. Customers bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instant. Simply download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code AEW. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
First things first, I want to let Dr. Proper know. I want to let Dr. Unger know and Dr. Hughes know that the release forms have been signed. You guys are not responsible for the last couple fractures in the forearm, brother. The main priority in the Yapapai Indian strap match is to have flexibility of the wrist that you're strapped to your opponent with, brother. Because in the Yapapai Indian strap match, when you're in the four corners of the battle zone, the main priority is to get the body in the proper position for the strapation dudes. When I get Ric Flair right where I want him, when I get him out of wind, sucking air, sweating from head to toe, I will call to the strapmaster Jimmy Hart on ringside. And I will say, Jimmy Hart at ringside, give me Yapapai Indian punishment strap number 1. As I strap your body, Ric Flair, as you scream to the heavens for mercy, as I see your skin start to bubble off your body, you will drop to your knees and you will say, please, Mr. Hogan, please, I can't take it anymore. Please, I'm sorry I crossed the line. And as I hear you beg for mercy, Ric Flair, that's when I'll call to the strapmaster Jimmy Hart for Yapapai Indian strappage number 2. That's when the heavier belt will come out. That's when I will strap your skin and the flesh will bubble. That's when the flesh will start to peel from your hide. And as I see the raw pink meat on your back, brother, I'm gonna take it to another level. I will transform from Hulk to Hollywood. I will double strap you with both fists, and you will scream to the heavens, please, Hollywood, don't hurt me anymore, and I will never stop.
You know, guys, I've got goals for each and every one of you. Mike Tenay, for you, I would like to give you a personality. Brian Knobs, you, I'd like to give a brain. Tank Abbott, where you at? Tank Abbott, I'd like to give you a heart. And Norman Smiley, yes, Norman, I'd like to give you courage. Wait a second, I sound like Oz up here.
All right, who done it?
You did. That one lady over there. Right.
Gentlemen, steady like that. They all did it.
But if you want to know who killed Mr. Body, I did. In the hall, with the revolver. Okay, Chief, take him away. I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.